You sent over this report from Cognitive Market Research about anti-fog coatings, and honestly, it was kind of eye-opening, something I'd never really thought much about.
Right, it's one of those hidden technologies.
Exactly. So for you listening, we're taking a deep dive into this market today. The report came out last October 2024.
Mhm.
Our mission really is just to get a handle on what's happening with these coatings, who the main players are, and maybe where things are going, without all the heavy market jargon.
Yeah, simplify it a bit. And what jumps out right away is just the size and the growth potential here. I
Mm.
mean, back in 2023, it was already valued at let me see, USD 18,542.2 million. That's significant.
Wow. Yeah.
And looking out to 2032, they're projecting it'll hit USD 25,376.28 million.
So quite a jump.
It is. It works out to a compound annual growth rate. Think of it like steady interest of 4.00%. So maybe not explosive, but definitely solid, consistent growth.
Right. A snowball rolling downhill, like you said
Yeah.
before.
Exactly. And it shows this expansion across a really wide range of industries, stuff that probably affects us every day.
That's the thing that struck me, too. It's not just one niche thing.
Hmm.
When you start listing where these anti-fog coatings pop up,
Mm.
it's kind of amazing.
It really is.
Your car windshield,
Yeah.
obviously, and mirrors. Super important for safety.
Critical.
Then in all kinds of consumer electronics.
Yeah.
Phone screens, camera lenses, you name it.
Yeah. Frustrating when those fog up.
Tell me about it. And healthcare, too, that's a big one. Think about medical devices, protective gear for doctors, nurses.
Mhm.
They need clear vision.
Absolutely vital in those settings.
And even sports, goggles, visors. Clear vision can mean winning or losing or just staying safe on the slopes or wherever.
Definitely. So it really highlights how these coatings are, well, pretty fundamental for visibility and safety in so many areas.
So what's pushing this growth? What are the main drivers the report points to?
Well, a few key factors. Economic growth in emerging countries is a big one. And linked to that, rapid urbanization.
Okay, how does that connect?
As economies grow and more people move into cities, you naturally see more cars, more construction, more travel, all things that use these coatings. Think about more traffic in cities means clear windshields are even more critical, right?
Makes perfect sense. More activity,
Mm.
more need for clear sight.
Precisely. And it's not just more activity. The demand within those sectors we mentioned, auto, electronics, healthcare, sports, is getting more intense.
Although so.
Each sector has, changing needs, maybe stricter rules, or just a bigger focus on safety and performance. All that pushes the need for better anti-fog stuff.
And it's not just demand for the same old coatings, is it? Technology's moving forward, too.
Oh, absolutely. That's a huge driver. We're
Yeah.
seeing some really impressive advancements, especially with these newer polymer-based coatings.
So not like the temporary sprays.
Exactly. These aren't the sprays that wear off quickly. The new polymers create a much tougher, longer-lasting bond with the surface. They don't just wash away easily.
Yeah.
And that durability, that improved effectiveness, naturally makes people want to use them more widely. You're getting a better, longer solution.
And you mentioned something about the pandemic having an effect earlier.
Yes, definitely. That heightened awareness about safety and hygiene, especially in public spaces and healthcare, that played a role.
Right.
Think about all the face shields and protective eyewear healthcare workers needed. Keeping those clear became even more critical. So that focus on hygiene where clear vision is essential. It just added fuel to the fire for reliable anti-fog solutions.
Interesting. So geographically, where's the main market centered right now? Who's leading?
Currently, North America and Europe are really the dominant regions.
Okay. Why is that?
It's largely down to their well-established and pretty strict safety regulations, especially in the automotive sector, which is huge in both regions.
Right, like vehicle safety standards.
Exactly. Those rules demanding good windshield visibility, for instance, create a massive built-in demand for high-quality anti-fog coatings.
But it sounds like that might be shifting a bit, the geographical picture.
It is, yeah. The report strongly suggests Asia-Pacific is poised to be a major growth engine going forward.
Ah, okay. What's driving that?
Mostly rising disposable incomes and a fast-growing middle class across many countries there.
Right. More spending power.
Exactly. As more people in the Asia-Pacific region can afford cars, access better healthcare, buy more electronics, the demand for anti-fog coatings and all those things is just set to surge.
Okay, let's switch gears a bit. Let's talk about the companies themselves. Who are the big players dominating this market right now? The report broke down market share, right?
It did, yeah. And it's pretty concentrated, actually. According to the report, 3M Company is the leader, holding about 25% of the market.
A quarter of the market. Wow.
Yeah. Then you have FSI Coating Technologies with 18%, Peerless Plastics and Coatings at 13%, Mitsui Chemicals with 12%, and TOCALO Co. Ltd. holding 9%.
Okay, so those top five.
If you add them up, they control a really significant chunk, the clear majority of the anti-fog market right now.
Let's maybe dig into them just a little. What makes each one tick? Starting with the giant, 3M.
Well, 3M, as most people know, is just this massive global powerhouse, diversified technology, huge focus on R&D, sustainability is big for them, and just an enormous product range.
Right.
Interestingly, the report notes a slight dip in their overall sales year over year recently, but their adjusted sales, which often reflects the core business better, actually saw organic growth.
Ah, okay.
So the underlying business, maybe including things like these coatings, is still growing. And their earnings per share figures were way up. Plus, they actually revised their full year 2024 profit forecast upwards. So still very strong, especially in key areas.
Okay. What about FSI Coating Technologies? What's their focus?
FSI is much more specialized. They're really an innovator in advanced functional coatings, and anti-fog is a core area for them.
Right.
They emphasize a client-centric approach, working closely with customers, and they have a strong R&D focus too. The report mentioned really impressive sales growth for them, 17% up year over year in FY 2024.
Wow, that's substantial.
Yeah, and improved margins too. So their focus on advanced coatings and client partnerships seems to be paying off big time.
And Peerless Plastics and Coatings.
Peerless specializes in advanced polymer coatings, but also custom plastic solutions. They're known for quality, innovation, customer focus. They also recently acquired another company, RS Coatings Ltd.
Oh, interesting. Expanding their reach.
Seems like it, yeah.
Yeah.
A strategic move to broaden their coatings capabilities. While we don't have specific financials here, their focus on tailored solutions and R&D keeps them strong.
Okay, moving on. TOCALO Co.
Yeah.
Ltd.
TOCALO is a Japanese company, but with a strong global presence. They specialize in advanced coatings and surface treatments generally, but anti-fog and anti-reflective tech are key strengths. The report highlights their R&D commitment and also their focus on sustainable manufacturing. They serve diverse industries, auto, electronics, healthcare, showing their technical depth.
And the last of the top five, Mitsui Chemicals.
Mitsui is another major global player, but in the broader chemical industry. Sustainability is a big push for them. They produce a wide range of high-performance materials, and that includes advanced coatings like anti-fog for sectors like automotive and electronics. Again, strong R&D, especially focused on eco-friendly options. Their global scale and that sustainability angle make them really influential.
It's fascinating how they each have slightly different strengths and focuses. But the report also hinted the competition might be heating up. It's not just these five.
Oh, absolutely. That's a key point. There are some strong potential challengers emerging.
Really? Who should we be watching?
The report specifically calls out companies like ALCAT Coatings, PPG Industries, Sherwin-Williams, Akzo Bell, and Nippon Paint Holdings.
Some familiar names in there from the broader paint and coatings world.
Exactly. And they're becoming threats in different ways.
How so? What are their strategies?
Well, you've got a few different approaches. ALCAT Coatings, for instance, seems to be focusing on highly specialized anti-fog solutions for very specific, maybe niche industries.
Okay, targeting specific needs.
Right. Then you have PPG and Sherwin-Williams. They're leveraging their huge existing experience and infrastructure in the general coatings market.
Makes sense. They already have the networks.
Precisely. Established distribution, customer relationships, that gives them a big leg up in getting anti-fog products out there efficiently.
Okay. And the others? Akzo Bell and Nippon Paint.
They, much like Mitsui, are investing heavily in R&D, focusing not just on performance but also on sustainability, developing eco-friendly anti-fog coatings.
The green angle, that's becoming huge everywhere.
It really is, and that can be a major competitive advantage now. The report suggests all this increased competition is probably a good thing overall, likely to drive more innovation, which ultimately helps us as consumers.
Right. More choice, better products. So with all this competition and innovation, what about opportunities for completely new companies? Is there room for startups to get into the anti-fog game?
That's a great question. And connecting back to the growth drivers, the report specifically points to rising demand from the aviation and aerospace sectors as a really promising area for new entrants.
Aviation and aerospace. Huh. That's maybe not the first place I'd think of, but it makes sense. Why is that such a key opportunity?
Well, just think about it. Safety and clear visibility are absolutely non-negotiable in aviation, right?
Couldn't be more critical.
Exactly. Effective anti-fog isn't just nice to have, it's crucial for cockpit displays, windows, safety gear. Fogging in those situations could be incredibly dangerous.
Yeah, you really don't want a pilot dealing with a foggy windshield.
Not at all. So the demand is there for highly reliable, high-performance coatings that meet incredibly strict aviation standards. And often it's less price sensitive than, say, consumer goods.
Okay, so high stakes, high standards. What should a new company focus on if they want to target that aviation market?
Good question. It requires real specialization. They'd need to develop coatings that meet those rigorous aviation requirements: durability, adhesion, resistance to wild temperature swings, humidity.
Right, extreme conditions.
Definitely. Ease of application and maintenance would also be key selling points for aircraft manufacturers and service crews.
Hmm.
And the report also suggests building strong relationships is vital. Collaborating with the aircraft makers, the maintenance outfits, the regulators, understanding their specific needs and the complex compliance landscape.
A lot of hurdles there.
There are. And finally, like we mentioned before, investing in eco-friendly, sustainable solutions is increasingly important in aerospace too. That could be a real edge.
So a challenging sector, but potentially very rewarding if you can meet the demands.
Exactly. Now, if we step back again, look at the big picture. What's the overall takeaway for the future of this anti-fog market?
Well, the report seems pretty clear about that significant growth continuing, right?
Yeah,
Going
yeah.
from that 18.5 billion in 2023 to over 25 billion by 2032.
Yeah, that 4% steady growth. And as we've discussed, it's fueled by that rising demand across key sectors, automotive, healthcare, and that interesting aviation piece.
Hmm.
So for companies wanting to succeed, innovation is going to be absolutely key. Developing coatings that aren't just better and tougher, but also more sustainable, that's a huge trend.
And that competitive landscape we talked about.
Yeah.
It's definitely one to watch. Those big players facing real pressure from the newcomers.
For sure. It sounds like we could see some real shifts, some reshaping of the market share in the coming years as these challengers gain ground and the leaders have to adapt and innovate even faster.
Yeah, it's definitely a dynamic space.
It really is. It's a market driven by fundamental needs:
Yeah.
safety, clarity. And as tech advances and new demands pop up, the opportunities are there for both the established guys and the new entrants as long as they can, innovate and meet those specific market needs.
So wrapping things up, our deep dive today, based on that cognitive market research report, shows us this anti-fog coatings market is, well, bigger than you might think and growing steadily. It's all driven by basic needs for safety and convenience across so many different sectors.
Uh-huh.
We've looked at the current leaders, like 3M and FSI, but also these significant competitors like PPG and AkzoNobel who are really starting to challenge them.
Right, stirring the pot.
And we highlighted some specific opportunities, especially for newcomers maybe looking at that demanding but potentially rewarding aviation industry.
Exactly. The path forward seems clear. More growth, driven by tech, safety focus, and industry expansion. And that competitive tension between the old guard and the new challengers, that should keep things interesting and push innovation.
Which leads us to a final thought for you listening. When you really stop and consider how vital clear vision is becoming everywhere, driving your car safely, doctors needing precision, pilots needing absolute clarity, how might these anti-fog advancements really shape our daily lives and safety in perhaps unexpected ways in the years ahead?
Good question.
And beyond the industries we talked about today, cars, healthcare, aviation, are there other sectors out there that might suddenly see a boom in demand for these coatings? Something to think about. Definitely a market with more going on than meets the eye. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.